In this video, we are installing a beautiful, modern, gray vinyl fence, and you are going to learn our step-by-step process for this installation. Today we are in Wantagh, New York, and we are installing this fence along the length of a driveway. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss future videos, and let's get into this installation.
We will start by taking down the old wood fence. Now the line is clear and ready for an upgrade.
Hello everyone, welcome to another Natural Beauty fence installation. Today we are installing a gray vinyl fence along this driveway here, and it's a special job because we're using a manufacturer that we use frequently here on Long Island, but that we haven't showed you on the YouTube channel yet. So let me just break out this rail for you. Now this is the rail that we're going to be using for the top and the bottom of this fence, and as you'll see, it has a decorative design on the bottom here. So it'll be on the bottom of the top rail and on the top of the bottom rail facing up this way. Now the vinyl fences you've seen us install in the past have just been a regular rectangular rail. Now while there's no difference in strength or durability of the material, it's good to have some versatility in the designs that you use. Let's say, for example, a homeowner recently bought a home and inherited part of their fence that's still in good condition and they just need to do one side. You want to have stuff in stock that matches up closely to what they already have. And then for this fence, we are going to be using an 8-inch split board. All that means is that the board measures 8 inches wide, and then here in the center, you have a fake groove in the middle. Now we're beginning this line of fence, like always, with the end post. All that means is that you're going to have holes just on one side of the post. So as you'll see, I have holes here, and then there's no other holes on this post. So like always, we dug our hole about 3 feet deep, and now we're going to put the end post in the hole we just dug. In this case, we have an existing wood fence here that's still in good condition. That's going to stay. We're just replacing the line here along the driveway. So we're putting the end post right next to the existing wood fence. And now remember, when you're digging your hole, I always say this, but when you're digging your hole, it's better to dig a little bit shallow and hit the post down after than to go too deep and have to lift it up. So we're going to set this just like we set our posts in all of our vinyl fence tutorials. So we start by putting loose dirt in the hole surrounding the post. Now in order to set the post in the correct position, we're going to hold the post plumb and tamp that dirt down nice and compact. And you'll see the post is nice and flush with the existing wood fence.
Now we are going to mix the concrete. We simply put the dry concrete into a wheelbarrow, add water, then mix until we achieve a good consistency.
Once you have the post plumb and tamped down nice into position, we're going to add concrete around the post here. So we like to add a generous amount of concrete, that way the fence is nice and strong, and he is just going to make sure the concrete gets all around the post in the hole here.
Then you are going to put a thin layer of dirt on top of the concrete.
So this fence is going to be one straight line of fence down the driveway, and then here at the garage, we're going to make a small turn just to close this off. So now I'm on the opposite end of the fence line where we are going to be installing the corner. A corner post is going to have holes on two sides of the post in a 90-degree plane. So as you'll see, we have holes on this side and holes on this side, so that way we can make a turn. So we are just going to put this hole in the post. Ugh. So now we are going to put this post in the hole here. Now when you're doing a line of vinyl fence like this, you want to set the two posts on each end of the fence line, so that way you can put your string line. The string line is going to ensure that the fence goes in a direct line. You do not want to eyeball these sorts of things, especially when you're installing on or close to a property line.
When installing the post next to the garage, we leave a small gap so that we can fit a decorative cap on top of the post.
So we're going to install this little piece of fence next to the garage right now at the beginning, just to get it over with. And to install this, you're going to put the two posts in the hole and tamp them plumb with dirt, and then you're going to measure your distance between those posts. You want to add a little bit to this measurement so that way the rail on the top and bottom can insert into the posts a little bit on each side. Then you're going to insert the bottom rail. In this case, we were able to use just one of the 8-inch boards in between the two posts, and then you're going to put in your top rail. Once the section is assembled, you're going to put a screw into the top rail flush against each of the posts. That way that top rail doesn't slip out. That'll hold the section nice and steady. Now that this is assembled, we are going to add our concrete to the two posts.
Now that both ends of the fence line are set, we are going to set our string line. We simply tie the line on one end and then walk it over to the other end. This ensures that our fence will be straight.
Now that our string line is set, we're going to begin installing the fence. So we're going to start at our end post here. We're going to take our tape measure and we're going to measure over the length of our section. Once we're at the right measurement over here, we're going to make a mark in our ground. This is going to be the location of our hole. Now we're going to begin digging our hole. We want to go about 3 feet deep once again. Now the most efficient way to dig holes on the job is to work in pairs. You have one person using the digger, and then once the ground gets too compact, your partner will come in with a tamping bar. The tamping bar is what you use to shape the hole and loosen up the dirt at the bottom. So I'm gonna get on in here, shape the bottom of the hole for him, loosen up all this dirt, and then once I feel like there's enough space, person's gonna come back in with the digger, do his thing, and then once the ground gets too compact, we're gonna switch places once again. Now we're going to install our first line post. A line post is going to have holes on two sides of the post, but in a 180-degree plane. As you'll see, we have holes on this side, and then if you flip it 180 degrees, we have holes on the other side. These are the posts that go in between the fence sections. I'm going to place this in the hole that we just dug. Now we're going to show you how we assemble this vinyl section. We are going to slide the bottom rail into the post that we have secure. That's going to be our end post here. Then we're going to leave the line post on this side loose while we assemble the section. Person is going to insert the bottom rail into that line post. Now he's going to adjust the line post and bring it over to the string line so that way it's making contact. Now we're going to put in our top rail. Once again, simply insert into the post you have stationary, then place into the next post over there. Now we're going to insert the boards. For the first board and the last board, we're going to put a side channel up against the post. This is going to provide a nice flush transition between the boards and between the posts. I'm simply going to take my side channel and fold it over the side here, and I'm just going to hit it down like this. Now as you'll notice, I leave a little bit of space on the side channel above and below because this board is going to insert into the top and bottom rail, so you want to allot space for that. Now we're going to begin assembling the section. Now we're going to put our first board into the section. He's going to place the board in the bottom rail and then angle it slightly so that way he can also insert it into the top rail. Then he's simply going to hit it over until it makes contact with the post. Now we're going to repeat that process with the other boards. For this manufacturer, each section is going to get 11 boards. That amount is going to vary based on the manufacturer you use. So now you'll see the process for putting in the boards. You simply put the board in the bottom rail first, angle it slightly so that way you can put it in the top rail, and then you just slide it over. These are tongue and groove boards, so they nice and easily insert into each other. Now we're up to our final board, so I'm going to put a side channel on. Now on that side, I put the side channel on the groove side, so on this side, I'm going to put the side channel on the tongue side. So I'm going to follow the same process here. So I'm going to fold the side channel over the board like this, and then just hit it down. Perfect. We have a little space above and below. So now we're gonna put in the last board. You simply put it in the bottom rail, and then you have to lift the top rail up just slightly so that way you can get it in there. And then you're going to place the top rail back into the line post, and now your section is assembled. Now we are going to secure this line post the same way we secured the end and the corner post. We're gonna fill that hole up with dirt around the post, then we're gonna hold it plumb, tamp that dirt down nice and compact, then add concrete, and then layer over that concrete with a thin layer of dirt. Now once the section is fully assembled and we have this post secure, we are going to put a screw into the top rail on each side of the fence, flush against the post. Once again, this is going to hold the section together and prevent that top rail from slipping out. All right, now we're on our second section. We're going to measure over the length of our section from the post that we previously installed. Then we're going to dig another hole. Okay, we've completed the hole over here, and now we have our line post ready to go. Now, just for safe measure, I'm going to take you through slowly how to install this section one more time before we speed things up a bit. All right, so first, we're going to insert the bottom rail into the post that we previously installed. This is the post that we have set with concrete already. So he's going to slide that in. We're going to leave the line post loose while we install the section. We're going to slide the bottom rail into the line post. Now we are going to move on to the top rail. You're going to take your top rail and first insert it into the preceding post. Then you're going to insert it into the next line post. Now we're going to begin inserting the boards. Before you insert the first board, place a side channel on the board. So now in this case, he put the side channel on the groove side. So once we get to the far end, we're going to put the side channel on the tongue side. Now we're simply going to make our way down the section, inserting the boards. You're going to place each board into the bottom rail, then make a slight angle so that way it can go into the top rail. Then you are just going to slide it over so that way the boards meet up. Once again, these are tongue and groove boards, so they insert together nicely. Now I know the section is not level going across. That is okay. At the end of the job, we're going to take a sledgehammer and hit each of the posts down accordingly, so that way the fence follows a smooth line sloping up along the pitch of the driveway. It is better to hit the post down after than to go too deep and have to lift them up after. Now we're up to our last board. So now he's simply going to put the side channel on the board just like we did before, and then he's going to insert the final board into the section here. He's going to place it into the bottom rail, and then he has to finagle a little bit to get it in the top rail. He has to lift that top rail just up slightly. Then he's going to place it back down and insert it into the line post. Now we're going to get this line post secure with dirt. And then we are going to put our screws into each side on the top rails flush against the post, so that way the section can't come apart.
Then once again, we are going to put concrete around the post.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is the process of installing a vinyl fence. We're going to speed things up here now so you can see us complete this fence line.
echar ahí atrás, otra vez seguro.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are on our last section. This piece over here is going to be shorter. It's going to be about a 4-foot wide section. So we're simply going to measure the distance between these two posts. Then you want to add a little bit extra onto that so that the rail has room to insert into each of the posts. Now we're going to cut these rails down to size. The rails are cut. Now we are just installing the section like you've seen us do across this whole fence line. So for this small section, we have to cut one of the boards down lengthwise because we have a few inches of room on the end. It's not enough space for a full board. So we're simply going to put all the full boards in, then we're going to measure that space. Now the easiest way to cut down the length of a board on the job site is to take your board, measure over the distance you need to cut on the top and bottom of the board. Then you can take another board and draw a straight line between the two marks. That way you have a line down the whole length of the board for you to follow with your circular saw.
Don't worry if your cut is not 100% smooth, because you will be putting a side channel on the cut side. In this case, we started the section with the side channel on the tongue side of the board, so we made our cut on the groove side. You always cut the opposite side of which you started.
Now this fence line is installed, we have two more things to do to complete this job. First, we are going to put the caps on each one of these posts. We are using a decorative New England cap. And then we are going to give the fence a nice cleanup. To clean the fence, we like to use Brillo pads or soapy SOS pads. They work really well on this vinyl. We're simply going to wet the fence, rub it down with the soapy pad, and then we're going to give it a rinse so that way it looks brand new. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel with this button here. It helps us tremendously. We release 2 new videos every week and you don't want to miss them. Check out the related content on the sides of your screen and we will see you in the next video.